What's happening, guys? Welcome back to another video. Today I'm going over the live engagement shoot that I had yesterday. So I mentioned it in my community section. If you guys don't follow that, go and check it out. I drop a few hints and comments and things about what's coming up in there. But yesterday I went along and I had my GoPro on top of my camera and we went through with Angela and Dan and done their engagement shoot. So they requested that they really wanted to have a waterfall and maybe some beach shots. So we went out to Katikati Beach, which is pretty close to my house. They have a waterfall within about 5 minutes, 10 minutes walk of the beach. So we went to the waterfall first and then we went out to the beach. Now all of these photos were taken with the A7R3 and the 35mm 1.8. I only took that camera and that lens with me. One lens, one battery, one camera, and we went out and done all the photos with it, and it was really great. All the photos were edited just really quickly with my preset pack, mostly 1 or 2 clicks afterwards, just with white balance and maybe a crop. But if you want to check those out, don't feel like you have to buy them. The link's in the description. If you have any questions or anything like that, drop a comment below and I'll be answering those as soon as possible. But let's just jump straight into the video. I've got it here on my laptop. We're going to run through it together and talk about it along the way because the audio was a little bit crappy on the beach with the GoPro. It was quite windy. So anyway, let's jump straight into it. So first off, I went to the beach about half an hour earlier, which is something I'll usually do. Even though I know the area, I just wanted to go through and make sure there was no roadblocks or roadworks or any events going on that would hinder where I want to go. So I done that and I took a few photos on the way, just showing the area and showing what we were going to get up to. It's just kind of a really good way to start the album off. Also because Dan had been here a few times, but Angela had never been to this beach or the waterfall before. So after that, I went back to the car park, met the guys, and just started going for a walk. So basically what I do when we very first start is I'll just explain to them we're literally just mates going for a walk. We're just going to chat about the day and what's coming up in the wedding. Don't feel like you need to look at the camera at all. Talk to each other, look at each other, look off to where we're going. Unless I say specifically to look at the camera, don't feel like you have to look at me. I find when I explain that to them, it makes them a little bit more relaxed and they're not feeling so much pressure that they have to look at the camera and smile all the time. They can just concentrate on each other. So with some of the photos, I'm going to show a before and after shot just so you can see the unedited raw image and the edited version. So in this part, I just wanted to show you guys if I was doing photo and video at the same time. I am making a separate video on this topic, just specifically shooting photo and video at the same time. But along this video, I've taken a couple of 100p clips just in 1080 just to show you guys how they would look if I was doing both and you're cutting it together in like a little short cinematic video. So this is the first clip at 100p with me walking along. This is no stabilization added afterwards, so it's not perfect. Here's another before and after shot for you. As you can see, really basic edit, nothing too complicated, just brings out those tonal values. The waterfall's just around the corner here, so we got a few more shots of them walking up together and just being together. There's another before and after for you. And then we're just about to come around to the waterfall, so I told them to go ahead and just make their way down to the water's edge, and I just got a few establishing shots again, just showing the environment and what's going on around them. I quite like to get them out of focus but still have them in the shot with the background in focus. It just kind of creates a little bit of depth. So like I said in one of my other videos that I've done recently, one of the very first shots I'll do is just have them hold hands and stand facing the camera, looking at the camera. It's just a really easy, really basic shot that they are not going to feel stressed about. It's not awkward or anything like that. So I just got them to stand next side by side, hold hands, look at the camera, and then I just made sure they were centered up on the waterfall as best as possible. Got one shot of them looking at the camera and then another one of them looking at each other. Converted a couple to black and white, and then I just got another shot of him with his hand in his pocket. It just looks a little bit cleaner, I think. So to get this shot, all I did was tell her to hold Dan's hand with both of her hands. It's just a good way to bring their shoulders in together and have them a little bit closer. It's just a little bit of a nicer, more romantic, closer image. And then in these shots I just got a little bit lower, cropped off their legs just for a little bit more of an artistic shot and a little bit more of a dynamic angle. So in these shots here, all I did was just say hold hands and walk towards me really slowly and just talk to each other. That's really all the instruction you need. You don't have to make it too complicated, just let them be who they are. In this series of photos, I just had them stand on this little rocky outcrop here, and then I just told Dan to stand behind Angela and wrap his arms around her. But it's really important to go one arm over and one arm under. I find it's a little bit easier for him to get in close, especially if he has a jacket on. It does depend on height and stuff like that as well, but this usually works really well. And then I'll just get Angela to hold his hands. So usually I'll just tell him to like blow patterns on her neck or whisper something in her ear, or just talk about anything really. Just get really close, give her a kiss on the forehead, and then I got a couple of shots of the same thing but with Angela looking up at me. So now we headed down to the beach, and there's a little bit of a walking track, so I got a few photos of that walking along process. And in this shot here, I just had Angela look back over at Dan, and I just took a quick shot over his shoulder. And then we just headed down to the beach, a couple more establishing shots with the people walking around on the beach and the sunset and the rocks and all that kind of stuff. So after that, I just asked them if we could put the flowers down, and we just chucked them over behind the sand dunes so nobody would take them, and we got them on the way back. And here I took a couple of clips at 100p again, just handheld. The last clip had a little bit of stabilization post, but it's just really showing you guys what you can do with handheld video at 100p if you're just making a really short cinematic clip. In this photo here, I just again had them look at each other, and there's a before and after for you to check out. So you can probably see in these photos there's a lot of movement and a lot of photos, you know, going in between shots. It's just a really good way to tell a story and you know, get natural looking emotion and natural looking photos without things having to be really posed. Movement is a really good way to get natural photos in general, so I try and concentrate on that, and definitely make sure you get a couple of shots of them looking at the camera as well. People don't like to have no photos of them looking at the camera, I find most of the time. So here's a really good before and after example for you of the dynamic range. I just had them walk down towards the water and then back up because I wanted to get a few photos of the front of them but backlit by the sun. And now we had to cross over the stream, so I had Dan jump on the rock and help her over, but you'll see here he automatically went to having his back to me, so I just told him to turn around and use the other hand. Little instructions like that can make a really big difference. When there's going to be a problem, call it out. Don't just let everything happen if it's going to not look as good. So this is pretty much where I thought my GoPro was recording, but I missed all of this photo shoot up on the rock. It was only about 5-10 minutes tops, but I'm just going to go through the photos and talk about them. None of these shots are really planned beforehand. I just know the area and I've been here quite a few times, so I'm always looking out for reflections and water pools and stuff like that. So we carried on, jumping over the pools, heading up to the rocks, and again I just put them where I wanted them and just told them to hold hands and just get really close. You know, check out the scenery, talk to each other. We flipped it around and had Angela give him a cuddle from behind and just get really close. A couple of shots looking at the camera. So with these shots, I just told them to face each other and get really close, talk about their wedding day, think about everything that's going to happen, talk about their honeymoon, just get really in that kind of zone of getting excited about each other and excited about the day. And then once that's going on, I'll just kind of move around them and get different shots, go further back, get real up close so I can get some sort of shots of them smiling away together and just laughing and having a good time. So with the tide coming in, we had to make our way back to the sand, not quickly, but you know, you want to be careful in a situation like this. You don't want people falling over and breaking ankles, and you definitely don't want people falling off rocks or anything like that. So make sure everybody's safe. Don't be telling people to do stuff that can be a little bit risky if you feel like someone's going to get hurt. This shot, I saw the reflection and I just told Dan to go back and hold her hand and help her up the rock, and just got, you know, I thought it'd be a really cool silhouette shot. I ended up bringing up the shadows and just making a really cool black and white photo, but I just like the composition with the rocks and the water and the sky in the background. And then when we got down, the water came rushing in and soaked the bottom of her dress. The tide came out really quickly after this, so We went over a bit further up. Dan wanted to carry Angela over the stream, but I know it's a little bit deeper in there that maybe he thinks. So I just said to jump on his back, it'll probably be a little bit easier, and they jumped across. Fortunately, Dan got his feet a little bit wet, but it's all part of the fun and it's just part of the process. They had a really good time doing it, so what's a bit of wet feet? It's no drama, it'll dry off. So with these last shots, we were just walking back to the car, and Dan had his hand around her lower back, but then they kind of split, and I just said, Dan, just go put your arm back around her back again and just walk towards me, and just got a few more shots. It was just a really nice scene, and he kind of did it automatically, so I just told him to do it again. And that was pretty much it. We headed back to the car, chatted about the day. So that's it for the live shoot, guys. If you have any questions, like I said, drop a comment below and I'll address those as soon as possible. Otherwise, let me know what you want to see next. I'm still making lists of everything you guys want to see. Drop a comment below, subscribe to my channel. Thanks heaps for following along, and I'll see you in the next video.